So about a week and a half ago, I did a Q&A, and a lot of the questions that I got from our YouTube community tab were people asking, is Donald Trump going to cancel the 2026 midterms, maybe the 2028 presidential election? And I talked at the time that, no, listen, Donald Trump is not going to, screw up our future elections. There's protections. He can't do it. And unfortunately, I am actually here right now to tell you that I may have jumped the gun. I may have been a little more optimistic, and I definitely was a little too dismissive of those particular comments. Because just a few days ago, when Donald Trump was receiving his totally BS Patriot of the Year award from Fox News, in his acceptance speech, he went on a tear out of nowhere about how he wants to change U.S. elections. Now, he didn't go as far as, the people in the comments, the questions were concerned. He didn't say he was going to cancel any future elections. No. But he is sure as hell going to make it harder for millions of Americans to be able to vote. Here is what Donald Trump said in his acceptance speech. Again, completely unprompted, just out of nowhere, decides to lay out his evil scheme to disenfranchise millions of people. But it's a scheme that's going to backfire on him spectacularly. Here's what he says. We need to get things straightened out in this country, including elections. We're going to do things that really needed to be done for a long time. And we're going to look at elections. We want to have paper ballots, one-day voting, voter ID, and proof of citizenship. In California, they just passed a law that you're not even allowed to ask for a voter ID. Think of that. If you ask a voter for their voter ID, you've committed a crime. We're going to get the whole country straightened out. Now, back in August, during a rally in Pennsylvania, he said, we have to get back in and we want to change it all. We want to go to paper ballots. We want to go to same-day voting. We want to go to citizenship papers, and we want to go to voter ID. It's very simple. We want to get rid of mail-in voting. Now, 98% of the counties in the United States use paper ballots. Okay, those electronic voting machines, the ones that Republicans like Mike Lindell have been whining about for years, 2% of the country or less is using those. So it's not even that big of a deal. And in terms of the voter ID, 35 states already have voter ID requirement laws on the books. Here's the thing about the voter ID, though. On paper, makes a lot of sense, right? You're going in to vote. Let's make sure it's you. I can agree with that. However, voting is a constitutional right. And if something is going to be a right and not a privilege, you don't have to spend money on it. IDs do in fact cost money. So, up until the point that the United States provides a free form of government-issued identification for every single American citizens, you cannot require them to have that in order to vote, in order to exercise their rights. You don't have to pay for rights. So if you're not willing to issue people not only free government IDs, but also give them free transportation to take them to the places to get the free IDs, then yes, you're disenfranchising millions of people unfairly. And the Republican counter-argument to that, by the way, is always, well, how do these people fly? You can't fly without an ID. You honest to God think that people who can't afford an ID are booking flights and jet setting around the country, you morons? That's not what this is about. There are elderly people in this country who don't even need IDs. They don't drive. There's people who, not elderly that don't have vehicles. They're not getting carded to go buy things that require an age verification. They don't have an ID because they don't need one or they can't afford one. Millions of Americans fall into some of those categories. So voter ID unfairly disenfranchises them. Now, here's the other part of it, though. As I said, this scheme that Trump wants to enact, that he mentioned during his Patriot of the Year speech, could backfire significantly on Republicans because Donald Trump has repeatedly, for over 4 years now, been talking about the need to get rid of mail-in voting and early voting. Did you know the primary group of people in this country that use mail-in voting or early voting? Most of those people are elderly. Most of the elderly people in this country vote Republican. Maybe not across the board, but in these deep red states like where I am right here down in Florida, yeah, that is primarily a Republican thing. So if you guys don't want to disenfranchise potentially hundreds of thousands of voters down here in Florida that keep electing your sorry asses, I would think twice about getting rid of early voting and voting by mail, because that is the one that is going to sting Republicans more than it stings the Democrats. But, forward thinking, long-term thinking, those aren't things that the Republican Party is especially known for, right? That's kind of a pie in the sky, we'll deal with the consequences when we get there situation. But this is one of those areas where Donald Trump could screw over the entire Republican Party by getting rid of these things that the Republicans rely on. And how are you going to do it, right? The Constitution leaves it up to the individual states to determine how they are going to run their respective elections. That is, in fact, a states' rights issue. So if you want to go after that, you're going after something Republicans love, which of course is states' rights. So you're going to start running afoul of a lot of these governors all across the country, overstepping your bounds constitutionally with things you're not allowed to do. And then it ends up in a court case, and then it goes before the Supreme Court, and then next thing you know, you're forbidden from doing any of it. So your own incompetence on this issue, your own stupidity, not knowing what the Constitution says, is going to screw you over on this. And to be honest, Trump, you better hope that is what happens. Because if the Constitution doesn't screw you, then you are going to be the one screwing over the Republicans. Either way, I do still stand by my original statement. Donald Trump is not going to be able to dramatically change the way we hold elections in the United States. He's not going to be able to cancel elections. Maybe I'm a little too optimistic. I'm a little less optimistic after his little speech there, but I do still think elections will happen, and the states' rights issue is going to trump anything that Trump tries to do. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.